Welcome to the Catholic Life Coach Podcast. My name is Carla Fitz. I am a certified life coach, wife, and mom of two beautiful little girls. My hope for this podcast is to offer support and empower other Catholic women to live their most authentic life. To share life coaching tools from a Catholic perspective in order to help you live a more fulfilling life filled with peace, joy, and abundance. Let's get started. Hello and welcome. I'm so excited to have you all here. Excited to join you again. I just came back from vacation with our family. We went to Florida. We took our girls to see the beach for the very, very first time in their lives. And I was so excited. I loved it. It was beautiful. It was so fun. And I was so blessed to be there and to be able to see their beautiful little faces shine and be lit up by the beauty of the ocean and the sound and God's greatness, and just give to our family to be able to go to this trip. It was a blessing. To be fully honest, this trip kind of fell into our lap very quickly out of nowhere. And that is one of my favorite ways for things to happen. For things to happen easily with ease, like just fall into your lap and all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, we're here. My husband and I had been planning a little trip. We just wanted to do a little trip where we could go away with the girls and take them out. We were planning to go to Missouri because in our limited minds and in our heads, what made sense was that we would take him somewhere close by because I'm 7 months pregnant and enjoy our time as a family, which was fine. It was beautiful. No judgment there. But what I didn't know, what I didn't take into consideration is that nothing is really close to here. I think in my head it's like, oh yeah, it'll be really close. And really when you start looking into the trip, it was like a 7-hour trip for our family to go to Missouri. And that is the state next door. But of course the US is huge. And so the trip was 7.5 hours or so. And the closest Walmart to the Airbnb that we had found, which had an amazing view, was 2 hours. That was the closest Walmart. And it blows my mind to see God's goodness to our family and to us and to each one of us and how much he pays attention to what we need in the moment, no matter what. Because when I started looking into this, it's like all of a sudden my head went to, hey, Carla, you should really check to see what's close to this Airbnb. And yeah, it was a beautiful cabin in the woods, and it was really in the woods. And then I started looking into this, and my husband and I started looking into this, and this was 2 nights before the Airbnb was going to be non-refundable anymore. And so I was like, okay, let's just check it out. Let's see what's around. How far is Branson? 2.5 hours. How far is the nearest Aldi or Walmart? 2 hours. I'm like, this place is in the middle of nowhere. And my husband was like, we need to cancel this. We cannot take this trip. My head went into lack a little bit because I was like, yeah, but this is like it. This is all we can afford right now. And this is as far as we can go right now. We cannot do anything else. Like there's nothing else closer other than staying in Nebraska. And we wanted to get out. And long story short, we're in the process and we're like, okay, yeah, we cannot do this trip. It's just not safe. I'm not going to be close to any hospitals if something was to happen. Let's just plan something else. And so then what pops in my head is just check. Why not? Just check flights. And I'm like, okay, I guess. And we found these flights to Destin. And I'm like, hey, honey, this is completely different. And it's not closer. It's actually farther away. But the plane was a direct flight from Omaha to Destin, which was a gift. It's a 2-hour flight. So easy. And we're like looking into the thing, and then my husband like checks more into the trip or into those flights. And it turns out that there were only 4 seats left. There was only 4 tickets left in that flight. And it was from July 1st until July 5th. We were going to be able to have 1 day. My husband wouldn't have to take 1 day of vacation because we already had the 4th of July in the middle of it. And we could rest. It was perfectly planned. If I was in charge of planning this trip, it would not have turned out as good as it did. But it was actually God planning the trip. And so then we're like, okay, well, yeah, but now we need to find an Airbnb. And guess what? We found an Airbnb that was much cheaper than our original Airbnb in Missouri was for those 5 nights. Exactly. It was just available from the 1st to the 5th. And that was that. We booked everything that same night. Everything fell into our lap. Everything was much cheaper than it would have ever been. And it was done. And it was happening in a month. And that is what I want to talk about today. We hear this topic of manifestation in the outside world. Like everyone around me talks about manifestation. And I think as a Catholic, for a very long time, I was afraid of the word manifestation. I was terrified of talking about it or even thinking about it because it felt what I believed manifestation to be was that I was in charge. What I believed manifestation was is I just need to control my mind and then I will call onto the beyond and it'll happen. That's how I would understand. I understood manifestation. And I actually started working with a manifestation coach. Her name is Berman. If you are ever interested in finding her, go find her. She is gorgeous. She's amazing. She has beautiful insights. And she's a beautiful human being. And her topic is manifestation. When I first came across her topic, I was terrified. I followed her for about a year and a half before I was able to manage my mind enough to feel safe to join her program. And I cannot tell you how thankful I am that I joined. Because everything that Jamie teaches came into my brain from a Catholic perspective. Everything that comes into my brain comes in a Catholic perspective. And what I found out was that manifestation is not the process of calling in things and doing nothing. It's actually being open to co-create with God. And what I like to call manifestation is actually creating with God. The process of manifestation, the actual definition of manifestation is to create, to bring something from non-existent into reality. And we see the word manifestation in the Bible so many times. We see God's work being manifested in the world. The secular world has created this vision of manifestation as a bad thing. And it can be, for the record. I just want to put it out there. It can be. If you use manifestation to hurt someone, yes, it can be something bad. If you do not put God in the middle of everything that you're desiring and that you're creating in your life, it can be bad. Those desires might not be from God. And this is why it's so important for us to align ourselves to co-create with Him, to get clear on what it is God is calling us to do. What is the calling that He has placed in our hearts? What is the reason for that desire? And when we check in, when we really check in, we will find what the truest desires of our hearts are. It is not something on the surface or selfish that we just want just because. It's going to be a soul desire, something that our soul truly, truly desires to create. And I believe that that desire is being placed by God. The reason why I believe full-heartedly that God is the one placing these deep desires in our hearts is because most of the time what I see is that we fight the desire. We're actually like, oh, but that doesn't seem possible. Or that seems too good to be true. Or, well, it would be good for someone else to do it but me. And God places these big desires in our hearts in order to help us grow, in order to help us develop into the person that He's calling us to be. And when we acknowledge those desires, we are able to connect to what it is He's wanting us to do. Our desires are the deepest, most truest guidance from God. He is guiding us in every single desire. But I think the mistake that we make is believing that we can create those desires without Him in the picture. And that is one of the reasons why I loved working with Jamie, because in her mind, God is in charge. Our job is to surrender. And that's how I'm going to explain it because, of course, she has a different way of explaining things. But from my perspective as a Catholic and as a Catholic life coach, the way I want to explain manifestation is it is the process of creating
your dream life. It is the process of creating your goals and desires with God in the front, in the middle, and right behind you. It is the process of learning to trust that that desire is being placed by Him, and trusting that every step that you are taking is taking you closer to that desire and that God is the one leading you. It is also the process of surrendering. And surrender has been one of those very hard words for me for always, because it's not easy to let go and trust. That's why I think manifestation being explained in a Catholic perspective makes so much sense in our faith, because it is the process of being open to receiving from God. It is a process of trust, surrender, and receiving. That is what happened to me a month and a half ago when that original trip was ditched, canceled. I had to first step back and say, God, I trust you. There was a reason why you brought this realization to my heart, but there's also a reason why you've placed in my heart that I want to have this small trip with my kids, or what I thought was a small trip with my kids. And then it was the process of surrendering it and saying, okay, I give it to you. I give this desire to you. Our job is to show up and take the steps that we feel called to take. Our job is not to be in charge. Our job is to trust and surrender to God. And then our job is to be open to receiving. Because what happened to me was that God was like, okay, I love your idea, kid, but I've got you. I have a better idea. And then all of a sudden, this beautiful gift of this trip to the beach with our girls before baby comes was gifted to our family. And I say it was gifted to us because it came to us at a fraction of a cost with no effort. All we needed to do was trust that He was guiding us, surrender our desires, and then He gave it to us. That is the beauty of our faith. We have a God that loves us. We have a God that wants to provide for us. I don't know what this verse comes from in the Bible, but it's one of my favorites. And it is that God loves the sparrows. He's providing for the sparrows all the time. How much more does He love us? How much more will He provide for us? That's what we need to trust. That's what we need to full on believe in, blindly believe in. It is that God is going to provide for us in every step of the way, in the little things and in the big things, in the small desires and in the big desires as well. To me, manifestation has helped me grow so much in that, in trusting and surrendering to Him. It is a process. I have to remind myself that I'm not in charge, that I have control over my thoughts and my emotions, that God has given me beautiful people to help me and support me and to hold space for me so that I can take the actions that I feel called to take, even when they're scary and when they don't make sense. But God is the one creating the masterpiece. Our job as humans is to pick up the brushes. But God is the one leading and creating the masterpiece. The point of manifestation is not, my friends, to do it on your own. It should never be to do it on your own. Not to get it faster, but it is a process of enjoying the journey towards that desire, towards that goal. It is a process of opening up to co-create with our beloved and one and only God. It is the process of being open to receiving from Him without so much hesitation, without so much resistance. It is the process of thanking Him ahead of time, even when you do not see proof yet. Your dreams are on their way. They are being created. They are being manifested. They are being created by you trusting, surrendering, taking actions, and allowing yourself to receive the gifts that God has in store for you. It's all possible. It blows my mind. It blows my mind how gracious and beautiful and powerful God shows Himself in our lives. It's incredible. I found myself standing at the beach this past week, staring into the sunset and the sunrise, in awe of his greatness and his beauty. I stood there realizing that we have two choices. We can co-create with God and let ourselves be guided and led by Him and receive from Him, or we can go and try to do it on our own and make it harder in our lives and watch our lives develop slowly with much more hardship. Our brains are constantly creating our reality. What we believe, we create. I was believing for a long time that taking our girls to the beach would take a while, especially now that I'm pregnant. That's going to take a long time. And then all of a sudden, I opened myself to receiving His grace, His gift, His love. And all of a sudden, I had found myself standing at that beach, hearing the ocean again after 10 years. And I cannot tell you how beautiful it is to see things come into fruition, to come into reality. And the thing is, it doesn't have to take long. It takes long when we believe that it's going to take long. Our minds create our reality. But the beautiful thing is that we have two things. We have authority over our thinking, and we have God in our life. With Him, there's nothing that we can't do. But I think it's worth remembering my favorite phrase. Without God, I can't. Without me, He won't. This is why I love the concept of creating with God or manifestation. The process of allowing yourselves to work together. Allowing yourself to see your life be created by Him. But in order for us to enjoy the process and to actually see our lives change, it's important for us to work on our thoughts and our beliefs. It's important for us to process emotions. It's powerful. I see it over and over and over again. And sometimes it sounds very woo-woo. I love that word. I have a friend that uses that word all the time. It sounds very woo-woo, but it's not. It is faith. It doesn't have to be woo-woo. It's just learning how to implement our faith into trusting that God has placed those desires in our hearts and that they are meant to be created. And you are meant to create them. The only person stopping you from creating the most fulfilling life, it's you. For a very long time, I was thinking, well, maybe this is not what God wants for me. And God is like, yes, it is. And I kept reading scripture and yes, it is. And God will communicate in so many ways. And yes, this is what I want you to do. But I was stopping myself from creating that life. We are in charge of our own thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. But in all of it, God needs to be in the middle, in the front, and right behind us. Without Him, we can't. Without us, He won't. So friends, I hope this was helpful. I hope this opens your mind a little bit and welcome the idea that we can create our dream life without so much hardship. That we can create our dream life without so much work and so much hustle, and that it can happen a lot faster than we think. This was the exact same thing that happened to me when I was trying to lose the weight. I believed for years that it would take forever until I allowed myself to let God guide me. And then 6 months later, it was all done. I love this process. I think it's beautiful. I think it's life-changing. And it can help us grow in faith so much to learn to trust, surrender, and receive. All right. My loves, I hope you have a fantastic week. And until next time, God bless.
Hey, thank you so much for taking the time to be part of this community. If you are enjoying these episodes, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so that you are notified the next time the episodes come out. Also, right now, I have some spots open to work with me one-on-one. This program will change your life. I 100% believe that without God, we can't. But without us, God won't. I will help you step into your power. I will help you take the actions that you need to take in order for you to create the most fulfilling and aligned life. A life that feels aligned with you and with God. And that life is available to you right now. Check the link in the description to reserve a time to chat with me. I will see you then.